I'm welcoming Janine Babey today to my project, and I'm so glad that she accepted to be with me and with us today. I met Janine a couple years ago at school. Our kids are attending the same elementary school, and during those years, we built a stronger connection. I have to be honest and say that that wasn't too hard because Janine and I, we have a lot of common interests. And some of them are very obvious, which is our love for yoga, for art, for nature, and love for preventive medicine. So that's also one of the shared interests. But I have to say that there was one that I discovered along the way, and I love that one. So I will mention we both love islands. We both choose to live on islands, and one of them, Hawaii, had a lot of bring a lot of nice memories, nice experiences. And one day at the school playground, we started singing with another girlfriend the song we didn't knew that we love. So that was a famous song written by John Cruz. Yes. And I will start by singing that song today.
Yes!
On the island, we do the island style.
Yeah.
From the mountain to the ocean, from the windward to the leeward side.
Yeah.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you, Janine. Thanks for coming. And I want to ask you to add something or say more about yourself.
Oh my goodness, Natasha. I thank you so much for having me here. I am so honored. What a beautiful introduction. And I couldn't have said it better myself. That's it. I am so blessed by this friendship and this connection and this union. And I don't believe in coincidence. I think that everything happens for a reason. And you and I, we were meant to connect. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Let's go back to the March 2020, okay. When this pandemic changed the life on planet. I want to hear from you. How was your experience? What was your experience of this pandemic?
Yeah. Again, it goes back to that same, I don't believe in coincidence. I really believe everything happens for a reason. And I really believe that this pandemic was necessary for so many reasons. If I just want to share my personal experience, because of course it's so much bigger than that. But if we just start there, right before the pandemic hit, I had a shift in career, and I really, I had to hone in on what is making me happy, what is making me feel aligned. And it was also connected to the happiness of my family, especially our youngest daughter, who was really struggling with me working 5 days a week and going to preschool. It was as if we were connected in that sense, because I was in a position that I really desired and I thought would be exactly what I needed. And I think it did serve a purpose for sure, but it was a position that it opened my eyes to the real reality of what does make me tick, and what really, the passion, where the passion lies, and how important it is to really follow that dream and really follow your passions, because we get to live this life once. Anyways, I'm getting a little off track, but when the pandemic hit, so before that, I was administrative assistant at the Salvation Army Halfway House here in Victoria, BC. And the team was phenomenal. The organization is phenomenal. And I went to school to be an administrator. So I did do a 2-year diploma. So I have the skills. Previous to that, I was teaching yoga and fitness and working auxiliary at a rec center. And that combination, I had so much joy, but I felt I needed more stability, more consistency, so that I could be here for the family in a more consistent way. But that's really why I made that shift. And throughout that experience, I learned so much about myself. I learned that I can love an organization, but if I don't love what I'm doing, it really makes a difference.
So you were actually longing to find your place.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was longing. Sorry.
No, say.
Yeah, I feel though it was almost, I was wearing my responsibility hat in my role as a mom and a wife and a family woman. So I was sort of, I was trying to find the right balance, the right combination of how I can do my role here and still be Janine, in the world. So this is where I had come to for the original shift. And through that experience, I wasn't moving my body as much as I was before. I wasn't breathing properly. My nutrition was sliding, and my daughter was struggling. She would struggle to go to school in the morning. She didn't want to go 5 days a week. It was too much for her. So we would struggle.
She's only 4. She's only 4.
Yes. Yeah. She's just a preschooler at that time. Yeah.
Yes.
So, so that was the thing that pushed me over the edge, because I always say, my role as a mother is really, to me, the most sacred one. So when I could see my daughter struggling, it was almost like, okay, no, it's not okay. We gotta change this. I've got to be here for her. She's in her last year of preschool, and then she's going to go into kindergarten next year. And, and so originally, that was the biggest driver of making that shift back to fitness, yoga, so that I could work around the schedule of the family. And throughout that experience of then leaving the Salvation Army and coming back to yoga and fitness, I was reminded of how much I love teaching, and I feel it's what I'm here for. I really feel it's a key part of why I'm here.
You were not surprised with the lockdown and feel fear when we went into self-isolation mode?
That's a really interesting question. I think I honestly it almost felt to me like an enlightened experience. I almost felt so aligned that this is exactly what we're meant to be doing. I felt so much trust in the universe and what was happening. But I also felt so sad for people who were suffering. So I would have great moments, and then I would have, these really horrible moments where I would just, my heart would ache. I remember one day I just went to pick up some groceries, and I came home, and like my heart felt like it was in my stomach, because a little sweetest little old lady had dropped something, and I couldn't pick it up and help her. And it really was like a moment of, wow, like it just hit me there. It was a small thing, but it just made me realize the magnitude of what was happening with the pandemic and how serious it is. And so yeah, absolutely, there was those moments like that, and watching the news, and it's not just the pandemic. There's this massive Black Lives Matter movement at the same time, and I really actually feel there's this undercurrent of a political shift, and that's my pray and my hope, but I feel it's bigger. We're getting to the root of all of these problems that we've had, and we needed to slow down to see them.
I decided to talk with you just for that reason, because your major shift was, in a sense, pushed by this situation, especially March situation. Everybody went inside. We started doing that self-isolation. or what we call lockdown, but you gotta finally impulse to get out and stand for yourself and made that change in your professional life. So I want to talk about your professional life this time. You started in everything started in early April with your, when you launched your YouTube channel. So I want to ask, what has preceded the launch of your channel?
Okay, great question. And I wanted to say that it was not the pandemic. This was a seed that was planted a couple of years ago when I took yoga teacher training. So during yoga teacher training, by the way, anybody who's considering yoga teacher training, just do it. It is like, you'll never regret it, even if you don't become a yoga teacher. Just that environment of being in a classroom and just immersing in not just the asana, the practice, the movement of yoga, but the theories behind yoga. It's church. it was church, I swear. So anyhow, during that experience of yoga teacher training, that experience, by the way, came at a time when we moved back from Hawaii, and we were starting anew. Maybe we can get back to that because I'll go down a rabbit hole there. So I'll get back to the career and what's prompted YouTube. So during yoga teacher training, it came at the right time for me. It was a time when I needed that reflection, that space, that connection, that immersion of beautiful minds and spirits going into a classroom for it was on the weekends. So I would go on the weekend and it would be like Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And I was immersed in this experience with these incredible women and their stories, and we would share, and our hearts were open and our minds were calm. And I needed that experience at that time. And during that experience, it was a birth of I don't know if you want to say a thought or an idea, or it was a message from the universe, or however you want to put it. But it was Yoga Mama. I need to teach yoga to moms and women, and we need to connect because moms need yoga. Because our lives are so busy with our kids and we're wearing 1,000 hats and we're trying to do it all. But this practice centers us and allows us to just find that clarity and that calm, who we really are. YouTube was one of those big things. As I said, you need to reach people who maybe can't afford to go to the studio and go to take a class in person, which, by the way, is a very different experience to do that than to watch YouTube. YouTube is a great way to get your exercise when it's unavailable to you to go to a studio, or in between your spaces of going to a studio. It's one way. And then,
but you know what? The only way you could do it in lockdown in April was YouTube, actually. You couldn't reach out to people or, make the in-person classes because people were, mostly inside of the houses. So the YouTube was April was the perfect timing to start a YouTube channel. Online was the only available thing 4 months ago.
Exactly. So it was like a gift from the universe, a sign, like, this is your time, girl. Take it now.
Yes.
So I was like,
did you find, did you need courage to do that, or?
Oh, Natasha.
I want to hear, because okay, come on.
There was a lot that I needed to do this. Okay. First of all, I'm a bit of an anomaly in the sense that, with my age, you would think I would be great with technology, and I am not. I think I'm a yoga teacher for a reason, because I'm great at connecting with people. I'm great at, creating space, holding space for people, and moving my body, and, almost sending a message that way. Okay. When I sit in front of a computer, it is not a natural process It takes time.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yes, yes. So that in itself of learning, okay, YouTube, how do I start this? How do I start this process? So I YouTube videoed, like I looked on YouTube, how to start a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was a great, you just roll it, right? Okay, I took my notes. I was like in my study mode, got my glasses and my pen and my paper, and I'm taking notes on the video. And then I would just play, I would go in. So I created my account. That was a big one. And then I had the vision before of, I want to do this in my living room because I'm home with people, and they're doing it in their living rooms. So it's a connection of like, you're home in your living room, I'm home in my living room. We're just doing yoga together. You know what I mean? So that was it too. So then I got, okay, got to look at my background here and what does my living room look like? So I had to make some changes. The very first video I did, I have a different background because I was trying to do it in a hurry. I like set my, not in a hurry, but I was really trying to figure out what to do with that fireplace because the fireplace is currently non-functioning. Like we're in a rented home, which is absolutely beautiful. It's over 100 years old, but the fireplace doesn't work. So we need to cover the fireplace. So I was like, what am I going to do? Earlier that day, we had this giant board it was like something that you would use if you're cutting, wood or something. You would put the board underneath. So I grabbed the board and I just grabbed paint and I just slapped some paint on it. And then I just put it in the background. I was like, done, it's covered. So it's like, okay, that was like the first video just to get it out because I wanted to stick to my timeline. So I did the first one and then it was good, the process. It's a learning process.
Yes.
And then I said, okay, what can I do? So I ordered a beautiful mandala imagery. So I put that there. And then I really love when you see plants in a video. So I thought, okay, I gotta get a beautiful plant in the corner. And so I try to do some things like that. It's not a perfect setup by any means, I'll say. But it's not really supposed to be because it's just my living room.
Yes, like in everything, like with everything in our lives, you start with what you have and what you know, and then you're going. And while you're going to that perfect, you're actually becoming that one. Yeah. And your place is becoming the one you wanted. But you cannot have it at once. You have to weigh your way through. You work your way through it. Where did you struggle the most?
Good question. I think there was a couple of areas of struggle. Definitely the technical side and trying to navigate through that was one for sure. The other area I would say is like I feel like the confidence was there, but at the same time, the nerves were equally as present. And I still get very nervous when in front of a camera or filming. So yeah, that was a thing. And it was almost like the little girl inside of me who was like so nervous, in different situations, being on stage or, standing up for what I believe in or all of these things. It's sort of like the old stories. It's almost as if I had to, comfort her and let her know everything is going to be okay. And there's a bigger picture at play here. And this is what you're made for. You're to be doing this right now. So I had to kind of get out of my head. And that's a challenge for me because it's an easy place to live is in the head. And so really it comes down to grounding and it comes down to the practices, the things we learn through yoga, even just consciously bringing our awareness to our feet and getting out of here. Okay, I'm here now. I'm just doing yoga. I'm just doing yoga with friends in my living room. It's getting out of the worry or fear of what will people think? How will I be judged? Do I look bad in this? Like, you know what I mean? Like all of these things.
Actually, we are going through the same processes, you and me, because for me, it's very easy to talk and connect with people.
Yeah.
And my biggest loss in this process is a lot of people rejected me, not because they didn't want to talk with me, but they didn't want to get out publicly. Like, Natasha, if I have to talk with you, that's one thing. And I want to share. And I don't, yeah, like, I feel there is a trust, there is a respect there. But
Yeah.
once I know that that will go public, you will publish that, and anybody else would able to see me, then they start resisting, rejecting. So it's like I'm having the same experience as you, like always thinking like, come on, this is just the conversation with a friend or unknown person, but I'm good at that. I know how, no, I know, but I love connecting, especially with people who have, you're coming from different cultures or coming from, different backgrounds. I love that. Yeah, I'm in that exploration mode. And I'm getting in, adventurous. Like, I want to know, like, I want to share. It's not just taking from them. Like, it's like giving. That's my, like, I consider that as you, when you're teaching yoga, it's like your normal mode. But then you have that sense, like, somebody will watch that, somebody out there, how they will react, judgments. Am I doing that correctly? When I'm in a flow, I don't think about that. But suddenly with the camera, you start thinking. And you can, as you said, you cannot get out of your mind. It's
Yeah.
hard.
And because you're putting yourself out there. So you're being very vulnerable,
Yes.
and so many of us, struggle with vulnerability. And I'm absolutely one of them. Don't think that I'm brave because I have a YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Like, it's really that I'm scared, but I do it anyways. And Brene Brown, she says it best, vulnerability is strength. Strength comes in so many forms. And when we're willing to be vulnerable, then we're actually being very brave and very strong.
In a sense, I found always a strength in that inner motivation, because this is like when I'm doing this, I don't see the goal always, the goal where I'm heading or I want to reach. It's more like I have an inner need to talk, to connect and share these stories. And that's my strength. That's my weakness, but that's my strength also, because in a sense, I'm unstoppable, because it's constantly, although my mind can say something, that inner need is just getting out. No. You will continue and you will talk and you will share. So that's my biggest, I don't think it's courage. Sometimes I think it's like a need. When you need to eat, you need to drink water, and I need to talk. In this situation, when we are in the lockdown and we are isolated, and I spend youth in this mode, I didn't talk, and now I will.
Yes. And the thing that's so beautiful about what you just said, Natasha, is that many people have the feeling there's something that they need, but they are going with the story in the mind of, but I shouldn't because of this, and I will be judged, and I can't because of this. And they allow that to be their story. And it's sad because fear is crippling. Fear creates barriers around who we really are. Whereas what you did is you decided, okay, this is a need for me. I'm going to listen and I'm going to do it. And so many people can have a need, and it's maybe it's talking, but maybe it's something different. Whatever it is that's calling to you, it's energy. There's an energy source that's saying, you got to do this. This is going to, be good for you. This is why you're here. But where what we get the power to do, again, it's what we do with the situation. We can't always control what happens to us, but we control how we handle it. How we handle it is what will allow us to blossom, or maybe stay in one place, or you know what I mean? And it affects what we decide to do with our own lives, affects the lives around us, because we are all connected. We know this. We are all connected. There's 6 degrees of separation, you know, and when you are living your truth, when you are following that voice inside and you're listening to that need, that thing that you need, and you're doing it, you're connecting with people. It's a dominoes effect. And you just don't even know. You don't even know the possibilities and where it will go. But it's our duty. I honestly feel it's our duty, and this is what's going to happen, I feel, after the pandemic, is that we are going to start listening more, tuning in more to our intuition and what we really need.
While you're showing up there for yourself and others, how do you actually support yourself?
That's a great question. So that was originally why I had shifted into that role at the Salvation Army. I am married. Like, you're talking about financially supporting, or are you talking about other kind of support?
Emotional. Do you get support from your friends? How do you support yourself? Where do you go in order to find that support, stability, security, whatever?
Yeah.
Whatever support is for you.
You know what it is? It's your vibe attracts your tribe. And you don't have room for the other stuff. You know, I believe we have to give people space to be human. That's another thing than keeping toxic relationships around. That's a different thing. You know, where I am today is I'm a different person. I'm a different person than I was when I was 20. You know, I'm a different person than I was when I was even 25 or even 30. You know, every year I'm a better version of myself, I feel, because I'm listening to my heart. I'm listening to what's happening inside. I'm following. I'm very sensitive to energy, and I'm emotional. You know, it works for me and against me for sure. But yeah, I mean, anxiety speaks to me big time. And if I'm learning to tell the difference between, am I getting anxiety from this because I should be doing this? And it's just like it's like the butterflies, I'm, you know, afraid of judgment, but I know I got to do it anyways. Or is it because this is actually just not a good situation for me? And, you know, this person is you know, I might love this person, but this relationship is not the right time, or, you know, it's not serving either of us here. So, yeah, learning to set boundaries around some of those relationships, and spending my time with connecting with beautiful people like yourself, and knowing that, you know, our paths have crossed for a reason, and then leaning into that. Because I'll tell you, Natasha, that the confidence for me has been a huge work in progress. And the last, probably, I would say 3 years has been the biggest leaps that I have taken into that in my entire life. I was not confident. I was bullied as a child. I was, you know, kind of like the ugly duckling for a long time. Very sensitive, you know, really had a hard time sticking up for myself. And I had to start to go, you know what, no, you deserve better. I get to choose. I don't have to put myself in these situations. I get to choose. And I started to meet incredible people when I opened up my mind to the fact that I was worthy. Which was really huge. And even you know, in recent years of that journey, I'll still sometimes go, she's, you know, how can she want to be friends with me? She's, you know, at another level. But then, like, even if that message would to come in, like, now I'm at the place where immediately, if the message comes in like that, immediately the next thought is, well, that's just ridiculous. We're all people. Our paths have crossed for a reason. We're here to learn from each other. it's not, nobody is better than or less than anybody. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're homeless or if you're, you know, the Queen of England. Nobody is better than or less than.
Yes.
There's a different story and a different path. And we're learning through those journeys. And when we can start to share our stories, just like this, and come to this type of platform, now we can just see how we actually connect and how we are so similar in so many ways. We're all learning the same lessons. We just have a different journey.
Janine, you're actually talking in the name of many people. I'm doing this project last few months, and when I'm reaching people, as you said, although they have one appearance or one attitude, they're all, as I can see now, they're all struggling. We are all struggling with the same things. Yeah. I can recognize myself in every person, even when they decide to step up, or if they say no, somehow I know why they're doing that. And I know their struggles, because as you said, it's always the same. Who am I? Why me? What would I say? You know, I don't have anything to say, but there is that also another set, but I know a lot of things I want to share, but I need somebody to push me. Or do you really think that I can do it? Yeah. So it's like everybody are in that, and it's waves. It's not black and white. Like everybody are in that mindset, up and down, up and down. In one moment, I am that one. Second is like, oh, I doubt in myself.
That support is so key. Like you were saying about how you feel supported. And honestly, finding a tribe of moms and women with open hearts and that are not judgmental, and immersing yourself in those relationships and putting connection and appreciation to those relationships is such a huge part of it. I mean, it takes a village to raise a child. That's the expression. But I feel like we all have that inner child inside of us that still needs help. Yes. So it's like it takes a village to raise that child too. So
perfect. You gave me actually an intro to ask you the second question. Yeah. When we reopened our province, when our province been reopened, you actually, from YouTube, you moved to organizing camps, boot camps, and private classes. Please tell me more about that.
Yeah. So YouTube is great, like I said, from being at home and getting that, you know, ability to do our practice at home. But when you are in a room with other people and it's all energy, you know, you're around different people's energy. There's a positive vibration because we're all here for something positive. We're doing some good. It's a different thing. So I knew that, you know, got to do something that's in person. And of course, with the pandemic, like yoga studios were not hiring. It was hard for them to even hold on to their own staff. So plus I'm a mom. I've got 2 young kids and they're home for the summer. They're home for the summer plus because of the long extended time since March, right? So this was also always a vision. It's a part of the Yoga Moma, the Yoga Moma vision was that, you know, there's some kind of a child's minding piece and then the moms get to exercise. So I'm still pursuing that. But during the summer, the weather is gorgeous. There's a lovely park that, you know, is close by that has a playground. It's off of a busy street. And then there's a field that overlooks the playground. And so the moms can just watch their kids while they're getting their exercise in a group of other moms. So like, you know, we're having fun in the sun. The kids are playing. It's beautiful. You can come and go as you please. You don't have to feel stressed out that you're not staying there and your kid isn't behaving. And it's like, everybody gets it. We're all moms.
It's a great deal to start a YouTube channel in April. And like 2 months after, you are so into go-go mode because suddenly in June you're out and camps are every Wednesday. Yeah. And you have, as I've heard, like a lot of moms are actually coming. So how did you manage? How did you manage to organize everything? Because mostly it was online work. You could use phone, you could use, you know, Skype or whatever, but you manage, and now your classes are full.
Oh, thank you so much. You know what? There's still space, so I'll just say, yeah, there's a lot of moms, but we can distance really well in that field. So I just got to say, if anybody's watching this and they are in the Victoria area and they are looking for something like this, it's going to be throughout the summer. Wednesdays, 10:30 to 11:30 at Tolme Park. So bring your kids. You just you know, every mom is responsible for her own kids, and you can come and go, and it's a lot of fun. But how that sparked, honestly, the hustle. Like, it's like as soon as you're into something that you're really into it, you're passionate about, the hustle like just kind of comes right after. It's like, oh, okay, well, great. I got to get some posters up. I got to, you know, promo through Instagram and Facebook. I got to text all my friends. That was a big one too. I was texting my friends, can you come? Because I didn't know if anybody would come. You don't know, you know, you can kind of put out the word. And what if like one person comes? You just don't know. So I was really relying on that, and actually still still quite a few of them are my friends, which is great. You know, I have great friends.
Now, when you were talking, because I could relate to you, not with your yoga classes, but with what you did with the channel and camps, I had an image of a volcano in my head. Like everything was beneath. Everything was, you were, as you said, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you planted a seed, and there was a lot of beneath the surface work, in your case, in my case as well. And suddenly, March break or self-isolation was the time when everything like erupted.
Yeah.
And this is lava. This is like just, it's flowing and it's getting out. Like it's YouTube, it's private classes, it's camps. Now you're making plans and pitching for some ideas for the fall. So it's just, everything is getting out. I feel the same in my YouTube channel. Like everything was there. I didn't plan to talk about isolation, and if I could choose, I wouldn't choose this, because there are a lot of emotional ones that I attach to this story in particular. I wanted to talk about immigration, which is another topic, and I already have everything was set up. But once I was like moved, universe, as you said, moved me to this topic, I said, okay, I can do that. This is like a shaky area for me emotionally, but I can do this. And everything like just exploded, eruption. So do you like that? Can you relate to that image as well?
Absolutely. I can relate to that image. Absolutely. And I think, yeah, it's so interesting because, you know, our wounds, we all have them. We all have them, you know, our wounds are going to be there. And it is ultimately, you know, some of us can point blame and say it's their fault that I'm hurting. It's their fault that I have this wound. But at the end of the day, the wounds are your wounds. We have to take care of them. And those wounds can serve us. They can serve us in our life like no other. I mean, we won't be refined without resistance. You know, picture a diamond inside of a rock. You need to chip away all the rock to see the beauty, to see the diamond shine. But you wouldn't get it without that chip and that pounding and that resistance. But we can choose. We can choose if we want to let it serve us, let us rise up through the rough, or if we want to feel a victim to our circumstance. So it really is ultimately a choice, and it also is a journey. So there's no shame. It's important to feel the feelings and go through the process of the wounds as well. And you can talk about your wounds when they're healed, but it's very difficult to talk about your wounds as you're experiencing them or when you're triggered by them still.
Let's talk a little bit about your involvement in some social movements. you were following this Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
And I want to know, how did you get to this, and how did you take part? What did you actually do to contribute to this big cause?
It's a great question. And I feel like, honestly, I wish I could have done more or can do more. I would have loved to march, you know, go to the rallies, but I was unable to attend those. So I used the resources that I had through social media, really, to speak up, and also take it as an opportunity to educate our children on the imbalance of
Oh, I love that part. And please, can you say more about that?
Imbalance?
Yes. And how did you educate your daughter? Because that's like, again, planting the seed for future. What did you do? That's also contribution. Some people think that you should go on the street and say what you have, or no. What you did with your daughters, what I'm doing with my daughter, is also planting the seed for the change that is all happening. So please say more words about that.
Yeah. So you got to speak their language. So, you know, we have beautiful books. We got these great I Am books on famous Black people who have made a difference and have spoken up for, you know, what they know to be true, and have, you know, done their more than their part to, you know, try to bust through systemic racism. So we have a book on Rosa Parks, on Martin Luther King, Jackie Robinson. So yeah, these books were a really great way to educate our kids and to let them know, you know, as young white blonde girls, you know, there's a history through our heritage that I'm sure our ancestors and things like that have done, that, you know, there's a history that goes through both sides of the ancestry, you know, white privilege, and people who, for the Black people who have been through the horror that they've experienced through their ancestors, and to still see here today in 2020 that there's judgment and there's racism. Like, it's almost, it's actually mind-blowing that they're still struggling to meet, because I just, it's gross. It disgusts me, to be honest. So what can I do as a white blonde girl in Victoria, BC? Well, all I can really do, I felt, is educate my children that this is not okay, that this still exists and it's not okay. And we get to help create change. People are people. There's no question about that. And to have extra compassion and care when people are hurting because of the wounds that they've got from their past and from their history. So really the compassion is so huge. And I can go on social media and I can just support the movement. I can just support people, you know, in this movement and in this walk. So even though I might not be walking, I'm walking through this path. So, yeah.
We can see, especially in our school community, we can see that change in the classrooms of our kids' school. There are people pretty much from all over the world. So the change already is there. Like, our kids are growing up being in a classroom with people from Asia, people from Europe, North America, First Nations. So there is a huge mix of backgrounds, races, cultures, nations. So that's the reason why when I come to our school playground, I'm in a healing process. Like, this is actually, for me, this is like the moment when I see the change. And you know, sometimes because I'm human, I need to see in order to believe. You know, you sometimes first, I want to believe, but you start losing that faith. But once you see, it's like my kid, she doesn't know the difference. She's never asking, where is he or she coming from, or why her mom looks that way. she's living in that acceptance mode, and I'm healed.
And I want to just go, I need to say this point as well, is that it's very important that we reflect on our own belief system and really the deep rooted what our real thoughts are and feelings are around that, because I will be completely honest, and I may I don't know how this will be received for people, so I am going to vulnerable place sharing this. But growing up, I actually was around a lot of multiculturalism. I was in I grew up in Calgary. The school I went to had lots of different cultures. It was kind of in a lower income neighborhood, I would say. There was a hardness to the school, and a hardness to the way that people communicated. There was nothing about anti-bullying or anything like that. It was really a lot of criticism and judgment and stuff like that within the kids. And I saw racism in my school, which really just was people's pain being put onto other people's pain in a low blow, essentially, really is what I saw. Never felt I was racist, but at the time I was a teenager, the jokes were just the norm. It's like how you joke. You say these jokes that have a racist tone to them. And at that time, of course, you always know this is like bad, but you like laugh. People would laugh. And I was one of them. And at this movement that's happened now, all these years later, I wish I would have made different choices. I wish at that time in my life, I would have been as tuned in and as aware of the pain that people, honestly, like a lot of the Black people have gone through, because I feel horrible that I would ever have been a part of that, even if it was not ill-intentioned or directed towards anybody. It still was putting the energy out there. So I almost feel like so passionate about this one, because I know how wrong it is. Nobody deserves discrimination based on the way that they look. It's ridiculous. Discrimination shouldn't actually even exist at all. But because of their culture, like it's actually sick, because we need different cultures. We need different people. This is how we learn. This is how we grow. And once we can replace the judgment, okay, Gandhi says it best. Love is the absence of judgment. Love is the absence of judgment. And when we choose love and compassion, that's the only way. It's the only way to go forward.
Do you think that the only way we can become aware is the moment when we start walking in the shoe of the other?
I don't think it's possible to always say that, because we won't always get the chance to do that. But I think when we can put it in our hearts and in our heads to do that, bring ourselves in their shoes, we don't have to experience their experiences, but we have to feel how they feel. And that's a new thing. That's how we're going to understand each other in another layer. And it's necessary. I feel it's necessary for change. Change that we need, for the change we need in this world.
I'm with you on this one. I didn't grow up the way you did, but I have the similar experience, because I grew up being the same with everybody and living without any judgment. And suddenly, when a civil war hit my country, we were split, like divided on this side and that side. And I also went through a period when I was this side, I was a Serbian, and I judged people, the attackers, the perpetrators on that side, because I didn't see. I couldn't. I was in my pain. I was in my loss. I was in my grieving and not knowing what it's like to be on that side.
Yeah.
So I'm with you in that one. I spent some years feeling as someone who has right to judge the other, to has their own pain and stick to that pain and in a sense blame the other.
Yeah.
Because I'm feeling this, so you are the enemy, not me. Like, it's like you're in one moment you're a victim, on the other side you're actually a perpetrator, and you're not aware of what is happening because you don't see, as you said, you're not aware, you don't see the wider picture.
Yeah.
So,
and I think with that one, if I may, where you're coming from there goes back to where we were talking about the wounds and how we can blame other people for our wounds, but at the end of the day, the wounds are our own, and we need to take care of those wounds, and it really has nothing to do with the other person.
Yes,
but that one is I feel that's different with the experience that I had around racism as growing up. I feel that it was more an environmental thing. It was in the environment. It was in the culture a little bit, like the jokes and stuff like that were just part of the culture. And that's what needs to change.
I would love to ask you one more thing.
Yeah.
I know that you love to sing.
I do.
So can you please sing something for us at the end?
I will be happy to, but I have to warn you because, I have been talking a lot, so my voice is not warmed up. But yeah, I will sing.
Doesn't matter. Please.
Again, this is that like vulnerability thing. Yeah. So I will share with you a piece that a part of a song that I wrote actually during this time and during this pandemic. Okay.
I'm listening.
Right. Here we go. Okay. I pray for a better tomorrow. We'll stand tall together and heal our sorrow. I see a future so bright, rising up, tearing down the walls. We're all in this fight. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for this conversation. Thanks for being with us. I hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Natasha. Keep shining your beautiful light. And if I may just say before we end, at the end of a yoga class, we say namaste. And namaste means the light in me honors the light in you. So namaste, my beautiful friend.
Namaste.